Hi, Lori, GLP-1 Journey in Review. I'm going to take you to my local grocery store. I don't need too much this week because I'm going on vacation, but I want to tell you and show you what my typical journey through the grocery store is like. For me, I use Publix. That's one of our local grocery stores. You can get almost everything you want here. Some places have Kroger. We don't really have Kroger here in South Florida. We have some Winn-Dixies. We have Walmart food, and we have Sprouts, Whole Foods for our main grocery stores. So for me, I try to stay away from the deli because they're too high of sodium and it's pretty processed food. Occasionally, I'll look to see if they have something pre-made like a salad. The Publix that I usually go to has a salad bar, and if you get there when it first is put out, it's pretty good. But the first place that I usually head to is the produce and fruit department. I usually go by what they have on sale because that usually means that it's pretty well in season. So it looks like they have some berries. I am going to be headed to the farmer's market, so I would get them from there, but it looks pretty good. And next thing I do is I check out the salads. You have to be a little bit careful. These are very good in nutrition and they have a lot of iron, but I tend to go for the box package. You have to look at them really carefully because some of them aren't quite so fresh, but I do check them out and do go from there. I do try to stay away from these salad mixes because they're not as good, but I will go for the bags sometimes. These peppers and these cucumbers are always a good source of vitamins, and they're very tasty. Many ways to cook them, and they are very healthy for you. I am going to pick up a sweet potato. This one looks good. Usually I cut it in half and split it with my wife, so it's not so bad. I do prefer the sweet potatoes because it doesn't spike your insulin quite as much. Seeing that time is a big issue with me, I tend to go for these bagged fresh vegetables that you could just throw right into the microwave. So I am going to grab a couple of them. I kind of like their zucchini mix. That's a good one. And I'm on a butternut squash kick, so I'm gonna grab one of these. I've had their Brussels sprouts and they're pretty good, but again, like I said, I don't need too much because I am going on vacation. They have plenty of cut up fruit. I do try to get mine at the farmer's market as they get them from all over, and if they're not ripe and in season here, they'll get them from South America or someplace where they are in season. Now, they do have a good variety of beans and sprouts and lentils and so forth, which are very good for you, and depending on what kind you get, they tend to not spike your blood sugar. They also have plenty of rice and brown rice. I just wanted to show you here that white rice and brown rice is, I don't know if you could see it, but the difference is there's a little hull on the brown rice, which helps prevent it from giving you such insulin spike. And you know, that's basically the difference. I try to stick with the brown rices, but I'm not perfect. And a lot of times for convenience sake, I get the 90-second. They have a brown red rice with chia and kale. They also have organic brown rice and quinoa. I tend to get that on occasion. As a matter of fact, I will pick one up just to have. Not perfect, but it is a better choice than a lot of other dishes. They do have a seafood department, but like I said, I get most of mine at the farmer's market where they have a huge variety of fresh fish, and it looks a little bit better than this and probably a little bit better prices. but I do check out to see what's on sale. As far as the salmon, I try to get the Atlantic salmon and not the farm salmon, as it's healthier for you. They do have a small section of chicken sausages and some meatballs and things along those lines, but I tend to get most of mine at the butcher or at Sprouts, because Sprouts has a lot of grass-fed, which is a lot healthier. And if I'm not going to get the grass-fed, I'm going to go to the butcher and at least get a better grade where they trim off more of the fat, and hopefully it's a little bit healthier for you. I fortunately have the luxury, I'm still working, and I could go to the butcher, and I think it's worth the few extra dollars. I'd rather pay it now than pay it later, so they say. I have on occasion gotten their ground turkey, especially they have the turkey burgers. And sometimes they just don't have those at Sprouts, and it's not a bad choice. They do have a small section of grass-fed beef, and I believe they also have some ground veal and some natural bison, but like I said, I tend to get mine at the butcher or at Sprouts because they have a bigger selection. I'm stepping back a little bit into the produce department to show you some of the mixes that they have. I tend to stay away from the ones where they added chocolate just because it's not the healthiest choice, but they do have some better choices here with, you know, some cranberries and nuts and so forth in it. These as a snack aren't too bad. They're pretty healthy, pretty fresh. You could also get the fresh roasted and salted pumpkin seeds here, your flax, sunflower seeds, and any of the nuts, which do make healthy snacks. Be careful of the packaging, because here you would think that something like this is very healthy for you. You know, all good antioxidants, sweet dark chocolate, almonds, hazelnuts, blueberries, cranberries, which is a better choice than some of the others, 150 calories. But if you look at the sugars on it, there's 8 grams of sugar and with 6 added sugars included in there. So a little bit better choice, but again, not the healthiest choice. So just, you know, read the labels if you're going to pick up something like this. A quick little stop at the Fresh Pet, because I like my cat to eat as healthy as she can. So I'm going to grab here these Fresh Pet. She likes the chicken, and let's see here. Its ingredients are chicken, eggs, carrots, minerals, phosphate. You know, so there are some added things, but I think it's a lot healthier for the cat than the dry foods or the wet foods. I have to admit, this is my downfall. I have to have at least 1 cup of coffee with my either International Delight or Coffee Mate. I do use sugar-free vanilla. The International Delight happens to be on sale, so I will pick up 2. I know it's not very good for you, but you know, that's one of my downfalls, one of my habits. I've always had this, no matter what lifestyle journey I'm on, and I guess I'm not going to change now. I used to drink the California Farms coconut almond blend, but I have lately switched to the Fairfield milk with some protein, and I find that I like that. It is a few calories more, but I think getting the extra protein is a little bit worth it. I do have a variety of organic, non-caged eggs. I know eggs are expensive these days, but I think they're still a bargain for what you get. I usually do get the Chobani Zero Sugar yogurt here. I think it has 13 grams of protein in it. But like I said, I'm going on vacation. I don't need it, but I usually do pick this up here. They have a good variety of whole grain breads here. Keto breads, 22 grain seed bread. I tend to get This one here, thin sliced, 60 calories a slice, 3 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, 3 grams of fiber. Yes, there is a little bit of sugar in here, but when I do get the urge for bread, I do tend to get this. Plus, it freezes really well, and it's pretty easy to just take a slice or two out. This is another downfall of mine. I do get the Atkins or the Quest peanut butter cups, or even their truffles. I have to admit I do have them a couple times a week, but at least it's a better choice. For example, the truffles has only 2 net carbs. It has fiber in it, only 2 grams of sugar, and 4 truffles is 130 calories. It does have 2 grams of protein, 2 grams of added sugar. None of it is added. 8 grams of fat, and everything else is kind of pretty minor on there. 15 grams of carbohydrates, but it does, like I said, it does have 6 grams of fiber, so it kind of that's how you get the 2 net carbs. And pretty much that's my shopping, other than maybe, you know, some toilet paper and paper towels, which I get here. I usually don't go to the Costco or any of the big bulk stores because it's just too much for 2 people. And, you know, that's pretty much how I shop at my local grocery store. I did forget to show you the cheeses. Sometimes I get them from here. Sometimes I get them from Fresh Market because they do have grass-fed cheese, which is a little bit healthier for you.